Welcome back to Eden Zero Anime Review Episode 13. This one is called The Super Virtual Planet. Yeah, this one covers chapters 30 to 32 of the manga. Yeah, we're basically kind of in a way into Digitales arc. You can kind of think of this one as the first episode of this arc officially, even though that this arc was they kind of started adapting this one with last week, because the last chapter they adapted for last week's episode is the start of this very arc. You can kind of think of this one as the official start of this arc because they're in Digitales. And I looked up, in case you're curious, like how many more chapters left. I mean, they've already adapted 4 chapters already. There is exactly 11 chapters left, so they're probably going to finish this up, and this is my personal theory, by episode 17. And I still think that the where the season's going to end is with the Star Jewel arc. Yes, I think they're going to get to this arc itself. I mean, it's only 20 chapters, so presumably you get this done in about 6 episodes. So my guess is that arc will probably finish up the season itself. Yep. So this one picks up right where last week's episode left off, where they know something's wrong with Herman. Yeah, they actually don't show this in the last week's episode that they do. They want Herman like she's not moving. So they bring her on board just for safety precaution, and they can't figure out exactly what's wrong. See, she's sort of in a sleep-induced state. They eventually figure out a way to figure out what's wrong with her heart, so they figure they need to go inside of her. And you're probably thinking, inside of her, are they going to do something inappropriate? Not exactly, no. They're going to where her mind is, per se. They're going to go to get this, a RPG online game, which is known as Digitales. And the way it sounds, it reminds me a lot of virtual reality. Well, what's the name? I think it's virtual reality. And also reminds you a couple other things. It reminds me of basically the early concepts were for basically for Yggdrasil, for Overlord. That's one concept basically there. The other is what happened with Yu-Gi-Oh! With the same thing here, where this one's basically a bunch of tubes just lie on the ground. It's simply put the entire crew minus the two stars, Witch and Sister, along with the caretaker. Those three stay there, and everybody else goes in. And they choose their own avatar, and we see Shiki. He goes through a few of his. One of his, actually, believe it or not, and they get this in the manga too, is if you're a fan of Fairy Tail, you will love this. One of his avatars is the guild master. Is one of the guys Blue Pegasus from Fairy Tail. The one is like saying how much of a man he is. The one who basically is enamored by Urza because of how hot she is. Yes, that guy. The guy who basically can sniff perfume and goes super strong. Yes, you see, it's just a quick little Easter egg. If you're a fan of Fairy Tail, you would love it. And then we get down to the planet itself. Now, in the case of Rebecca, her outfit is basically like one outfit she normally. And before they go in, they put the same outfit that Hermia is wearing. This special outfit, this jumpsuit that they put on when they go in. Happy, of course, is pretty much the same as he normally is, just with a green cloak. Pino is the size of a little girl with her hair trimmed up like almost like bunny ears, like how Pino the robot is. Whis decided to make himself an Amazon woman. It's a fetish of his. I'm not really sure why. And in the case of Hamura, she made herself into a guy. No idea why. I would have thought that it would be better to keep her as a woman, but I mean, you can keep her as a woman and basically make it put in this outfit. It's perfectly fine. Shiki, of course, when he showed up, he became super muscular wearing a Speedo. And of course, Rebecca's like, don't do that. And of course, he made his hair like it was on, the way it was on on Grimbill. He pretty much made part of his outfit. It looks like, though, by appearance-wise, it reminds me a lot of Natsu's attire. Well, just for the pants and the sandals. The shirt itself is, probably original for the anime. And having the little teeth around his neck. Basically, the appearance-wise, reminds me, with the long hair, reminds me of Gajo from Fairy Tail. Mostly, anyways. Except basically, well, there's also, oh, by the way, the thing that Hamor rides on is the same type of creature that was seen back in Raid Master. You know, the thing with a little, doing that little thing, a little shaking his head back and forth. Yes, that thing. Except it's purple instead of being blue. Yeah, I'm not. This is another thing, basically, because Hiro Mashima loves having Easter eggs to be serious in here, and just uses a stand-in. I mean, nothing really wrong with them. They're technically stuff he created, so he has every right to basically use this. Yeah, and of course, Hamar does ride this thing. And then they go to town. Oh, by the way, they mentioned the NPCs in this particular game are self-aware of their actual data, and they all have personalities. The guy, the first person they see, usually said the same line over and over again, which he got tired of doing that. And basically, he would say a few other lines, and they basically offend people. So they're going to ask you where Hermit is, and then they say an inn, which suspiciously looks a lot like, appearance-wise, by the outside by the building, it looks like the original, almost like partially the original look for the Fairy Tail Guildhall. That's what it looks like to me. Though, of course, they would revisit. No, they would use the same type of. This is basically kind of like a reused building in a way. Though you can also kind of say it reminds me of. The only thing else I can think of, basically, by the exterior wise, I would probably say it kind of reminds me of the apartment building that Lucy stayed in. Mostly, anyways. Of course, they have beds with pink sheets on it. Now, they actually don't have in the anime showing up people's the characters' weird sleeping habits. Like apparently Shiki ending on top of Rebecca with the plant there. Yeah, Hamori up on the floor, and of course, well, Weeza in his girl form, basically sticking his butt up in the air. Though I think the Shiki one, that was kind of hilarious. But at least he did something inappropriate to her like he did back in the pilot. Yep. So they go out, and of course we see this, at night we see this mysterious person known as the Chosen Player. You don't see his face fully per se, but he says he's a chosen player, and he can kill as many people as he wants to and does not get banned. Because he said he's a chosen player. My guess is the reason why they probably reprogrammed this particular thing. It's also mentioned that Digitales was a place that Hermit frequently went to. So they meet up with a sort of like a big monster. It's a main event boss, and he doesn't want to fight them. He doesn't want to tell them about Crystal, where it was attacked by this mysterious mass murderer. And later on, they go to the town and they confront him, and it turns out he actually works for the Eration 6. Yes, named Draken Joe. He works for him. He's not Draken Joe, but he does work for him. And he's a warrior from the Eration 6 who is responsible for crushing entire planets. He is that dangerous a person. I'm like, wow, okay, that's interesting. And we also see up on top of a building, we see, I think these are players, where they're basically just all killed easily, and they're all being stabbed. Apparently also, it's explained also that if you're hurt in this world, you do get hurt in real life, which I thought that was kind of weird. Yeah. But then the episode ends with Shiki ready to beat the crap out of this mass murderer. Yep. But yeah, fantastic episode, and can't wait for next week. Yeah, and the next week's episode is called The Girl on the Hill, which should be interesting. And it seems something though that they look for they said look for Hermit or Valkyrie, and they find Hermit so easily. Like it was so easy to find her. But they have to find her digital stuff first, and of course they have to escape from this particular world. Yep, but great episode. Can't wait for next week. Okay, so that's a particular review. Next one is going to be Blue Exorcist, and there's going to be some bad news related to this one. I'll be discussing that when I of course discuss the video itself. Okay, and of course Black Clover, and after that be Combatants Will Be Dispatched. I'll be discussing that. My Hero Academia, One Piece, and Boruto. Okay, see you next video. Bye.